It was just another rainy night in Florida. The kind where the sky doesn't cry gently. It pours like it's trying to wash the whole world clean. And on that night, somewhere near a quiet intersection in Tampa, a young woman named Maya Ellis was running across the street, soaked from head to toe. Her shift at the local diner had ended late again. Her hair was plastered to her cheeks, her shoes squished with every step, and her umbrella had already surrendered to the wind, gone, forgotten. The crosswalk signal blinked red, but Maya didn't stop. She was tired of long hours, tired of being alone, tired of always having to figure things out. She didn't see the truck, but someone else did. Across the street, a man named Jordan Miles was walking home from the community center, where he worked as a counselor for at-risk teens. 32, broad shoulders, calm eyes. The kind of man who didn't say much, but when he did, you listened. He spotted Maya just as the headlights came barreling through the rain. Time slowed. He didn't think. He moved. Jordan sprinted. His feet splashed through puddles. His breath caught. And then, impact. He shoved Maya out of the way just in time. She hit the sidewalk hard, but alive. The truck didn't stop fast enough. It struck Jordan full force. His body hit the hood, then the ground, and he didn't get back up. Maya scrambled to her knees, gasping, bleeding from her palms. She saw the man, the stranger, lying in the street. Blood pooled around one of his legs. People were screaming. Sirens blared somewhere in the distance. She crawled to him, trembling. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. Jordan opened his eyes. Barely. His voice was quiet, laced with pain. Can't let something happen to someone worth saving. Then he passed out, and Maya's world changed forever. Weeks passed. Jordan survived, but the doctor confirmed what he had feared. His spine had been damaged. He would never walk again. Maya visited him in the hospital the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that, too. She didn't know why she kept going. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe something else. Jordan didn't speak much at first, but slowly, day by day, he began to open up. She learned he used to be a track runner in college. Fast, competitive, bright future ahead, until injuries and setbacks pulled him away from the spotlight. Now, he worked with teenagers who needed guidance, the kind he once wished he had. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't angry. He was patient, strong in a quiet, solid way. Maya was the opposite. Spirited, stubborn, always speaking before she thought. And somehow, that made them work. She started bringing books he liked, movies he'd laugh at. She even snuck in his favorite snacks, despite hospital rules. Jordan teased her about how dramatic she was. She teased him about his beat-up sneakers he refused to throw away. And in that tiny, fluorescent-lit room, something began to grow. Not romance. Not yet, but trust. Months passed. Jordan was transferred to a rehab facility. Maya helped him adjust. She didn't pity him. She learned with him. She asked questions, pushed his wheelchair when he needed it, and gave him space when he didn't. He told her stories from his past, about losing his parents young, getting into trouble, and the coach who had pulled him out of it. She told him about her childhood, too, about growing up in a house that was loud with voices, but quiet with love, about dropping out of college to support herself, about how tired she felt all the time. Jordan never judged her. He just listened, and in a world that had always rushed her, that simple silence felt like home. One evening, as the sun set behind the palm trees outside the window, Jordan looked at Maya and said, "You saved me too, you know." She blinked. "Me? How?" "Because before you showed up, I was just surviving, not really living. You made me remember what hope feels like." Maya didn't reply. She just took his hand and held it. And that was the moment she knew. It wasn't guilt. It was love. But not everyone understood. When Maya's friends found out about Jordan, they were cautious. "Are you sure? You're so young. That's a lot to deal with. You don't owe him anything, Maya." But she didn't care, because Jordan hadn't just saved her body that night. He had saved something deeper, something she thought she'd lost forever, her purpose, and she was ready to fight for this love. For him, 1 year later, on a bright June afternoon, in a hall glowing with golden light and laughter, Maya stood at the altar, tears in her eyes. Across from her, in his wheelchair, sat the man who once threw himself into danger to save a stranger, the man who taught her what love really meant, the man she was about to call husband. Love isn't always pretty. It's not always candlelight dinners, sunsets, or sweet little notes on the fridge. Sometimes love shows up in rehab centers, in late-night phone calls, in uncomfortable silences and awkward, broken moments where you're not sure what to say, but you show up anyway. That's what love looked like for Maya Ellis and Jordan Miles. After the accident that changed both their lives, things moved slowly, tenderly. Jordan was adjusting to life in a wheelchair, and even though Maya was there nearly every day, there were still things he had to face alone. The pain of losing his independence, the frustration of asking for help, the guilt he never said out loud. And Maya, well, she was learning how to love someone in a way she'd never done before. Not out of pity, but with presence, with patience, with deep, intentional care. Every morning, she would arrive with coffee in one hand and sarcasm in the other. "Your nurse said you gave her attitude again," she'd tease. Jordan would smirk. "You try getting poked and prodded at 6 a.m. and see how cheerful you are." They laughed a lot, even when they didn't feel like it. But behind the laughter, the weight was real. Sometimes Jordan would stare out the window too long. Sometimes Maya would sit by his side and wonder if he deserved someone better. Someone who could walk beside her, dance with her, chase her down the beach. And sometimes the silence said everything. But it was during those quiet, raw moments that their love grew strongest. One night, Jordan asked, "Why are you still here?" Maya tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't offer you a normal life. No kids running around the backyard. No hikes or weekend getaways. No dancing in the kitchen." She was quiet for a second. Then she smiled. "Jordan," she whispered, "you gave me everything in 1 second that night. You didn't think. You didn't hesitate. You saved me. And since then, you've kept saving me in ways you don't even realize." She looked into his eyes. "I don't want normal. I want you." The first time they went on a real date, it was nothing fancy. A small jazz club with soft lights, old records on the wall, and a stage where a woman sang like the stars were listening. Jordan wore a navy blue shirt and freshly cleaned sneakers. Yes, the same ones Maya always made fun of. She wore a green dress that caught the light every time she moved. And for a while, it felt like the world outside the club didn't exist. They talked, held hands, and when the music slowed, Maya wheeled Jordan out onto the floor. She danced around him, laughing, twirling like she was weightless. He watched her with a look that said, This is everything." But not everyone saw it that way. Some of Maya's friends started pulling away. They didn't say it outright, but she could feel it. A few were bold enough to speak up. "You're wasting your best years. What if he never gets better? Do you really want to play nurse for the rest of your life?" It hurt, more than she admitted. She cried one night alone in her car, clutching the steering wheel, asking herself the same question she'd already answered 100 times. But the next morning, she still showed up at Jordan's door. Because real love isn't about ease. It's about choice. And Maya had already made hers. 6 months later, everything changed. Jordan had just finished a physical therapy session. He was getting stronger, at least in his arms and core, but still couldn't feel anything below his hips. Maya rolled him out to the garden where they always sat. The air was warm. Flowers bloomed all around. The sky looked like someone had painted it with soft gold. Jordan took her hand. "I need to ask you something," he said. She smiled. "Sure. What's up?" But then he pulled a small box from the side pocket of his chair and opened it. A simple silver ring shimmered in the sunlight. Maya's breath hitched. "I don't know what the future holds," Jordan said, voice steady. "I don't know if I'll ever walk again. I don't know if I can give you a perfect life." He paused. "But I know I can love you, and I will For the rest of my days, if you'll let me. Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. She dropped to her knees, laughing and crying at the same time. Of course I'll marry you, she whispered. Of course. The news shocked everyone. There were congratulations, warm smiles, careful nods, but also whispers. Behind their backs, some people still doubted. Why rush into it? She's just trying to be a savior. He can't even stand. How's he going to be a husband? Maya heard some of them, but she didn't care anymore. Because every day Jordan showed her more love, more strength, more gentleness than she had ever known. And she had chosen him, not because he needed her, but because she needed him too. The wedding was small but magical. An old hall by the beach, filled with soft lights and quiet music. Flowers curled around pillars. Candles flickered on every table. The guests stood as Maya walked down the aisle, glowing like the very sun she used to chase. Jordan waited at the end, dressed in a crisp black tux, sitting tall and proud in his wheelchair. Their vows were whispered more than spoken. Their kiss was slow, emotional, and full of years of unspoken pain and quiet healing. But while Maya thought the biggest surprise of her life had already happened, she had no idea what was coming next. Because Jordan, he had a secret, one he had hidden from everyone, one he planned to reveal that night. And what Maya would see would leave her absolutely speechless. The laughter had faded. The music, the toasts, the clinking of glasses, all gone now, packed away like memories after a dream. And now, in the warm, quiet stillness of their honeymoon suite, it was just Maya and Jordan, wife and husband. The rain tapped gently on the windows outside, soft and steady. The lights were low, casting golden reflections across the room. Maya stood at the mirror, slowly wiping the last of her makeup away, her wedding dress now draped over the back of a chair. Behind her, Jordan sat in his wheelchair, still in his tux, still watching her, not with lust, not with nerves, but with something deeper. Gratitude, awe, love, so full it made his throat tighten. She turned to face him and smiled. "You okay?" she asked. Jordan nodded, his voice a little shaky. "More than okay." Maya crossed the room and knelt beside him, her fingers slipping into his. "I meant what I said earlier," she whispered. "I don't care what we have or don't have. I love you exactly as you are." He blinked quickly. His voice was soft. "I know." She leaned in to help him out of his jacket, but he stopped her. "Wait," he said gently. "There's something I need to show you first." Maya tilted her head. "What is it?" Jordan reached beside his chair and pulled out a small black folder. He placed it in her hands. Curious, she opened it. Her brow furrowed as she read. Scans, reports, charts, physical therapy logs, names of doctors she'd never heard of. She looked up confused. What is this?" Jordan took a breath. "They told me not to get my hopes up," he said. "But after you said yes to me, after you loved me without expecting anything, I decided to try." "Try what?" Maya asked, heart racing. Jordan didn't answer, not with words. Instead, he placed his hands on the armrest of his chair. Maya's eyes widened. "Jordan, what are you doing?" He didn't look at her. He focused, took a breath, and slowly, shakily, he began to push. His arms trembled, his shoulders strained. Then his legs moved. Stiff, wobbly, weak, but they moved. And then, inch by inch, Jordan stood. Maya gasped. She stumbled backward, her hands covering her mouth. Tears flooded her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. He was standing, not perfectly, not for long, but he was standing. "Jordan," she whispered. "How?" He looked at her, voice breaking. "For months, I've been going to therapy in secret. I didn't want to tell you, not because I didn't believe in you, but because I needed to know that your love for me had nothing to do with this." He gestured to his legs, to the folder, to the ring on her finger. "I needed to know you chose me as I was." Maya rushed forward, tears streaming. She wrapped her arms around him as he leaned into her, breath shallow from the effort. "You don't have to prove anything to me," she said, holding him tight. I know, he whispered, but I wanted to give you this. Just once. To stand beside you like you stood beside me. They stayed like that for what felt like forever. Crying, laughing, shaking. Two souls had found each other in the rain, now standing in the quiet of a love they built together. Later that night, Jordan returned to his wheelchair, tired but smiling. Maya tucked the folder away, her hands gentle, her eyes still glassy. He turned to her, voice low. Does this change anything? She smiled. No, she whispered. It just makes the story better. They laid down together, side by side, not as a disabled man and his wife, not as a hero and the woman he saved, but as equals, as partners, as two people who had seen the very worst life had to offer and still chose love. And somewhere in the darkness, as their fingers intertwined beneath the covers, Maya whispered one final promise. Whether you walk, roll, or fly, I'll be beside you, always. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still believes in real love. Drop a comment below. Have you ever seen love this strong? We'd love to hear from you, wherever you are in the world. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching the Story Spectrum.